Hello, Long Beach, right? Well, I'm Don Knabe, and I'm running for mayor of Long Beach. Nah, just kidding. You know, all the candidates are here, so I thought I'd throw my hat in the ring. So, anyway, let me begin. First of all, by thanking Eric and Aaron and Ian and all the Freedom of Communication folks who are here today, but more importantly for sponsoring today's event. When Freedom, as you all heard, launched the Long Beach Register, it added to its more than 30 other newspapers and magazines across the country. They now have 28 employees here in Long Beach, covering community and local issues, events, and sports. So I really think it's terrific that Long Beach has gained a newspaper because people have been predicting the death of newspapers for years. Just the other day, I was over at a friend's house, and someone was there, an older gentleman, older than me, asked if he could borrow his newspaper. And the guy responded, he said, "This is the 21st century." He said, "Here's my iPad." Well, I can tell you this, that fly never knew what hit him. Get it? All right. Appreciate the, it's spreading back. It's just like a wave. But anyway, thanks again to the Long Beach Register for supporting today's event. And a couple very special thank yous. First of all, to Jessica Midkiff for being here to lead us in the pledge. Jessica is truly one of my heroes. She is a survivor of child sex trafficking after suffering abuse as a child. She was sexually exploited for money beginning at the age of 11. The fact that she got out and is safe would be enough to make her an incredible young lady. But now she is showing amazing courage and sharing her experiences with at-risk girls, hoping that by reliving her story, she will protect them from being exploited. Jessica, I know you were nervous about standing up in front of all these people, but thank you for being here and thank you for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And then a special thank you to Debbie Ferris for a beautiful invocation. Debbie, you may or may not know, you heard her introduction, but she is the spiritual mother of the Safe Surrender program that I seem to get a lot of credit for. She was watching the evening news one night back in 1996 and was horrified when she heard that a newborn baby boy had been stuffed into a duffel bag and tossed from a speeding car along a freeway. Debbie urged a good friend, former California State Senator Jim Brulti, to write the legislation that would decriminalize safe newborn abandonment. It eventually became California law, but no one knew about it. She also founded the Garden of Angels, a very special and unique cemetery to ensure that these innocent babies who are left to die are buried with dignity. Debbie, thank you for joining us as well today. I want to recognize the Long Beach Chamber board members that are here, particularly Board Chair LaDonna DiCamillo and the Chamber's Board of Directors. Randy and his team for making today's event possible. I know that you were put up against the wall last night, so I appreciate it. Everything looks great, and thank you to you and your team. And of course, my staff. A big shout out to Cheryl Burnett and Andrew Weiss for making this part of it possible and working with me. And the rest of my staff who are here today, who I just say that I have the best staff on the 8th floor. I have the Nordstroms of the 8th floor when it comes to constituent services and response, and give my staff a big round of applause. I know they're scattered throughout. And then, of course, my wife, Julie, 45 years. It's hard to believe that it's been 45 years. I've learned a lot in that time. A wise man once told me that the two most important words to keep a marriage happy are, "Yes, dear." And it's "Yes, dear." Thank you for joining me today. But most importantly, thank you to all of you for being here today. This is our 7th annual event. As I tell people, I'm shocked that people keep showing up to listen to me. But since we were here last year, I was sworn in for my final term. Final terms are often associated with lame ducks, and people sort of just coast out. But let me tell you something, I'm no lame duck. When you've had the honor of being in this position as long as I have, and as you see the end coming near, you almost start to panic a bit because you think, wait a minute, there's more to do. I want to get some things done. So while there is work ongoing in the county and our role as the ultimate safety net, I've got a bucket list of things that I want to get done. Yep, me and Jack in the bucket list. All right, okay, maybe not that, all right? But I do have a list of projects and programs that I'm going to work on and get completed, hopefully by the time that I leave office in 2016. But before I get to that, I'd like to give you some update on some of the big issues that we're facing as a county. And let's start at the top, the federal government. And let me apologize up front to my federal friends. But as you know, a few months ago, the federal government shut down for 16 days. And after a lot of rhetoric and posturing on both sides of the aisle, the president signed a bill that ended the shutdown and raised the nation's debt ceiling. So it really doesn't matter which side you're on. No party or branch of government won in this situation. And just as we were starting to see some steady improvement in our economy, consumer confidence hit a 9-month low, and fourth quarter growth will undoubtedly be kicked back a bit. But we got through another deadline. But we didn't solve any of the big challenges facing our nation. Americans have shown their frustration in recent polls. The latest Gallup poll showed that 9% of the American people disapprove of the way Congress is doing its job, or approve of doing their job. 9%. And as a business person out there, you know that if 1 out of every 10 of your customers, don't like the service, man, you're not going to be in business very long. But these polls do show that there seems to be one thing that we can all see eye to eye on. And as Los Angeles Times columnist Doyle McManus wrote, we finally found an issue on which almost all Americans, right and left, agree, that we hate having a federal government that creates problems instead of solving them. So our elected officials in Washington, to all of you, I just say you need to take a long-term view of what is best for this country by working together. And if they need a lesson in how this is done, they can see the example of local governments across this great nation who cannot play these games but must solve the problems impacting their communities, their school district, and community college districts. In the end, though, however, I think these poll numbers are beside the point. People are busy, and after a while, they just start to ignore the silliness. So I sometimes think what people really want is invisible government. You're safe in your home. You put your garbage out, it's collected. You drive to work. The streets have no potholes, and the lights work. Your kids go to school, and they learn. You come home, and the playgrounds and parks are well-maintained and safe. And if all of this is true, you don't notice government. It's invisible, and it works. And that's what we try to do in our county government and what we continue to try to do. There is so much that we do each and every day that people don't have or have any idea or realize what we do each and every day. And I talk a lot, particularly as it relates to our budget, I talk a lot about prudent budgeting because, as Eric mentioned, I'm really proud of what we've done. We don't let the ideology get in the way of getting our jobs done. We can't. As a former New York City Mayor LaGuardia once said, there is no Democratic or Republican way of cleaning the streets. Because of our prudent budgeting, we've been able to invest money in important infrastructure that really matters to the quality of life throughout this great county. And how these projects get done may be invisible to you, unless you stop and you have to stop because of construction, but they really make a difference in your lives. So let's take a look at some of the projects that we've accomplished in the last year.
Sky
also like to announce another big investment that we're going to make over the next few years. We will be putting $25 million into our sidewalk repairs, repairing over 35 miles of damaged sidewalk throughout the 4th District, repaired as well as replaced throughout the 4th District. This is the stuff that really matters to people when they're out walking their dog or pushing their stroller. Invisible government. I also wanted to give you a brief update on an issue that I told you about last year, very special subject to all of us, realignment. First, a little background. In 2009, a federal 3-judge panel said that California state prisons were overcrowded. Shocking news. At the same time, there were lawsuits alleging that prisoners were living in unacceptable conditions. On top of that, the state was facing huge budget issues. So the state's solution, in conjunction with the judges, was to send the prisoners to us, local government. Sounds like a shell game, doesn't it? It is, and it's a very expensive one for cities and counties across this great state. Before this all started, we had about 15,000 inmates in our system. We now have over 19,000. They also sent us 17,000 parolees to look after and find. By the way, they're supposed to check in when they come down, right? You're a bad dude, you're going to check in. On the average, inmates are serving only about 20% of their sentences. So how does this game impact all of you? It's about safety in our communities, and that's what my priority is. The board has been very focused on ensuring that the most dangerous criminals serve their full sentences. We've been exploring options to construct facilities or at least jail beds to house those that really need to be behind bars so that they aren't roaming the streets of our wonderful communities. We've also got to do something about the recidivism rate. 2 primary issues affecting that are mental health services and drug rehabilitation. And as you all know, particularly many of you providers in the room, we will never get people out of the cycle of crime until we successfully manage their drug and mental health issues. You've also probably read reports or seen in the newspaper issues with our jails. The board established the Jails Commission to investigate, and I think he's still here, but Long Beach Police Chief Jim McDonnell was my appointee. I appreciated his time and commitment to a very thoughtful effort. Thank you, Chief. I appreciate that. Stand, please. The commission made 60 recommendations late last year. We have fully implemented 43 of those. We also recently appropriated $29 million to increase supervision, to add additional cameras throughout the system, and address issues that were raised by the commission as well as the Department of Justice. And just this last week, we appointed the county's first Inspector General ever to provide independent oversight and monitoring of the Sheriff's Department, and I'm pleased that Max Huntsman of the county's District Attorney's Office has accepted that position. But perhaps the biggest issue that we are facing as a county, once again, it's the granddaddy of them all, and that's the Affordable Care Act. And as I say, it doesn't matter whether you're for it or against it, whether the website works or it doesn't, Obamacare is here in less than a month. And as the largest county in this nation, this is a huge issue for us. I know all of the numbers we hear on the news can get very confusing, but here's what's happening, currently happening. 36 states are relying on the federal healthcare.gov to sign people up. California is one of 11 states which established its own exchange called Covered California. And as October 1st, uninsured Californians began selecting their healthcare provider. And by all accounts, people could actually log on to the California site. And our goal here in Los Angeles County was to enroll 300,000 of those uninsured into our Healthy Way LA, which is our insurance system. To date, we have enrolled 290,000 folks through aggressive outreach efforts. But it's not just about getting people signed up. Los Angeles County has the largest uninsured population in the nation with over 2.2 million, and the largest population of undocumented in the country. And like the federal government, we need paying customers to choose us, because at the end of the day, after everything's fully implemented and everybody's signed up, we will still have close to 1 million uninsured here in Los Angeles County. So I think as a county, it's a good life-changing experience for us that we have a lot to offer people. We're just not used to selling the story. I'm particularly proud of some of our specialized services, like Rancho Los Amigos, which is named the top rehab hospital in the nation year after year after year. We also have a network of community clinics which I would like to continue to expand, which provide much needed accessibility to preventative and less expensive non-emergency room care. But we also understand that we must operate in a more customer-focused way, or we will only be left with truly the non-paying customers. So we've done a few things. We've decreased wait times. Any business knows that customer service is a key, and people hate to wait. In the past, it might have taken as long as 2 to 3 months to get a referral to see a specialist. Now, with improved technology and better communication, it can take only 2 to 3 days. We're also focusing on the overcrowded situation that we have in our psychiatric emergency departments, so that we can put the same focus on mental health services as we do on the physical health. We're also working to improve the relationship that we have with our patients. We don't want our only interaction to be when they come through that emergency room door. We're making a huge investment in electronic records so that our doctors and nurses can better track our patients, share that information, and proactively work with them on their health and well-being. Other than that, there's nothing going on in the county. Now I'd like to take you through some of my bucket list and what I want to get done before I leave you in 2016. For a long time, I have been very interested in doing a public affairs television show to educate people about the county and shine a light on some of those many invisible things that we do. And earlier this year, Dale, I think, said in the audience, thanks to my good friends at Charter Communications, we launched our monthly program. We've covered a broad range of issues, including the Affordable Care Act, a day in the life of a social worker. Didn't include the strike today, but all right, that's okay. We discussed business and economic development and public health and so on. But we also did a show from Washington, D.C., and I was fortunate enough to have Congresswoman Hahn on, as well as Congressman Ed Royce. But perhaps my favorite was the three former governors of California discussed this current situation here in our state and what they see ahead for our state and nation. The tile that you get today for your collection in front of you shows a photo from that show with Governors George Mason, who's in the House, Governor Pete Wilson, and Governor Gray Davis. You may also notice that one of our former governors was unable to join us. So I did a special interview with Governor Schwarzenegger. Take a look. Hi, I'm Supervisor Don Knabe, and welcome to a very special episode of Dial In. Joining me today is bodybuilder, actor, director, producer, businessman, investor, and the 38th Governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Thank you for joining me today, Governor.
Good morning.
Let's get started. Governor, how were you able to get both parties together to accomplish your goals?
Bring the toy back. Bring the toy back to the carpet. Bring it back to the carpet. No more complaining. No more Mr. Kimblett to go to the bathroom. Nothing.
One of the big issues today is childhood obesity. What policies, Governor, did you institute to make kids eat healthier in our California schools?
Are these all your lunches? You mean you eat other people's lunches? Stop it! Put that cookie down! Now!
You were a leader on environmental issues and climate change when you were governor, and there was a lot of debate going on about how the dinosaurs were killed off. Can you share your expert opinion with us on what really happened?
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
Well, thanks again for your time, Governor, and I hope you can join me again on another episode of Dialed In.
I'll be back.
Gotta have some fun, all right? Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Cheryl. I'd like to tell you about some other projects that I'm focused on in 3 specific areas: infrastructure, public-private partnerships, and safety net services. First, on the infrastructure side, there is one area where government needs to lead, and that's infrastructure. And these projects can have a huge impact on the quality of life in our neighborhoods. We currently have 3 community center projects under construction in the 4th District, in Hacienda Heights, Rowland Heights, and the unincorporated Whittier area. And I want those finished on time and on budget. The facility is going to be about 20,000 square feet, achieve a LEED Silver environmental rating. Each was created with the help and ideas of the local community, so they reflect their unique needs and wishes: multi-purpose space, catering kitchens, fitness centers, computer rooms, whatever made most sense for their constituents. Another recreation project on my bucket list is establishing a junior golf academy. Golf is a game that you can enjoy for your whole life. I've been committed to getting young people into this game for many years. And over the last 17, 18 years, we've held 27 Knabe Cups for local boys and girls high school golf teams, which is CIF sanctioned. And for the past 11 years, we've also been offering free golf camps. Thousands of juniors have participated in after-school and summer programs. And I'd like to establish a junior golf academy to encourage young people from all walks of life to start playing golf, to have some sort of outside recreation. We're currently working on plans to refurbish a facility in Norwalk to use as a junior golf academy, and we'd like to offer after-school programs in addition to provide extracurricular activities for our young people who might not normally have access to a golf course or extracurricular activities. And as I mentioned earlier, when I was discussing the Affordable Care Act, the most expensive way to deliver health care is when people are really sick and they have to go just to an emergency room. Preventative care is essential to managing the cost for people to manage their health. Access to care is too limited in the eastern part of my district, so we're looking to develop 2 new community health clinics which will provide primary care for families. We are working through a public-private partnership to construct 2 clinics, one in the unincorporated Whittier, South Whittier area, and the other in the Hacienda Heights, Rowland Heights area. On the other side of my district, over in Marina Del Rey, we are in the process of refurbishing the Oxford Basin, which is a water retention basin in Marina Del Rey. It's a great example of what we can do environmentally in a project by providing recreation opportunities for the community as well. Right now, it's a missed opportunity. It's a 10-acre site, and to be quite frank, it's very ugly. But we have designed a project that will improve flood control and water quality, yet provide a more natural environment for habitat. The aesthetics will be cleaned up and recreational opportunities will be added. And of course, one of my all-time favorites, I yap about all the time, how about some public transportation going directly to LAX? Not a mile away, but right to the front door. Now, obviously, this project won't be completed by 2016, but it's not that I'm not going to try to continue to push it. And when I'm in Washington, and ensure that it's at the top of the priority list here at Metro, which we've been able to move it up. A few months ago, I joined LA City Council member Mike Bonin in bringing together all the stakeholders that need to work together to get this project moving. LAWA, which is the airport, the Los Angeles Chamber, federal, state, and local officials, and the community. We all need to be together at the same table to get the funding and political will to finally get this bill. Frankly, it is quite embarrassing that the second largest city in America with the 3rd busiest airport still does not have a direct transit connection. The last construction project I'd like to discuss is something that I'm really excited about. I'm announcing today that we will be spending close to $45 million on upgrading libraries throughout the entire 4th district. $45 million, that's a lot of job and a lot of opportunities. Some of the facilities we have right now just don't cut it. And some people may think, and I've heard it, what do you need a library for? No one reads a printed book anymore. Well, it's a lot like what we said before about newspapers. Libraries have evolved. They become resource centers. Across this county, our libraries are more popular than ever. In the last 3 years, in my district alone, just my district, we have seen more than 8 million people pass through the doors. More than 9 million books, videos, and other library materials have been checked out. Seniors by the droves using the computers. So planning's underway. We're started. We expect construction of these facilities to get started and to be completed by the time that I leave office. And on one final note, on these infrastructure projects, a big piece of it for me is the jobs that we are able to create, both on the short-term construction side, but more importantly for the longer-term positions. So let's switch gears for a minute, from spending money to saving money. Robert Half once said that people try to live within their income so they can afford to pay taxes to a government that can't. Government must manage its budget just like most people do at home. You don't spend what you don't have. We need to come up with more creative ways to work together across all sectors to finance projects. The George Duke Machen Courthouse is a great example. And I recently put forth a motion to support LA in Sync. It's an initiative that has been started by the Annenberg Foundation, and the purpose is to join all sectors, government, nonprofits, businesses, when we apply for philanthropic, state, or federal grants. And I believe, I don't know if David said he was going to be, but David Conforti from the Annenberg Group is, I think, is in the House. But according to the Annenberg Foundation, in 2010, New York City received $1.3 billion in grants. San Francisco, almost $700 million. The Los Angeles area as a region, the largest county in the nation, received only $372 million. California ranks 43rd nationally in terms of paying out more to the country in taxes that it takes in. We basically receive about 73 cents back for every dollar we pay. At the top of the list is New Mexico. They get $2.03 for each dollar they pay. We can do better. But we need to get our ducks in a row, not lame ducks, ducks. We recently had like 6 local agencies competing for the same grant and not working together. The federal grantor couldn't make heads or tails of it, so we lost. We need to bring everyone together, public and private, for the benefit of our economy, be it for transportation, healthcare, social service grants, or whatever it may be. Los Angeles County, the state of California, deserves its fair share. LA in Sync will give us the opportunity to bring everyone in the region to one table. We can do better than 73 cents in the dollar. At the end of the day, everything we do in service to the public is driven by jobs and a strong economy. We need to work together on the services that we deliver to support businesses and economic growth, from the small business owners all the way to companies as large as Boeing. Like, how about getting those Boeing 777 jobs here in Long Beach? Another issue that I'm looking at, initially we're looking at, and I brought in a motion to adopt it, but after hearing the Long Beach Residents story, I think they're going to buy all these bonds. But it's called social impact bonds. And they originated in the UK, and Mayor Bloomberg started a test program which is underway right now in New York City. Basically how it works is the government pays service providers only if results are achieved, not something new to those of you in the private sector. So that we just don't measure based on the number of clients we serve, but on prevention and outcomes. The financing model is based on public-private financing, and the program risk is not held by the taxpayers. Investors assume the risk and can receive a modest return on their investment. So we'd like to try it here in Los Angeles County, so we've directed the CEO and others to look at it to see if we can find creative ways to fund very critical programs while also, most importantly, improving the services that we provide to those most in need. The final area of my bucket list I'd like to talk to you about is another area where government has a critical role to play, and it's often invisible: protecting the most vulnerable. Last year, I told you about something that I was working on, stopping the selling of young girls in our streets here in the entire region of Southern California and LA County. In all my years in government, I don't think there is an issue that is more horrific to me than girls as young as 10 being bought and sold by scumbag pimps right here in our own community. Many of these girls are already part of our system. They either were abused at home or have entered foster care, and so it's our job to protect them. And over the last 2 years, Los Angeles County has been on the forefront. We've launched new programs to support the victims and to prevent this crime, and when I was in D.C., I testified about our efforts at the House Foreign Affairs Committee. We also need the support of our federal and state partners to increase the penalties for pimps and johns. Unfortunately, earlier this year, the state legislature had that opportunity but did not move forward with efforts to lengthen sentences because, get this, they didn't want to add to the already overcrowded jail problem we were discussing earlier. Thank you, realignment. So I'm going back up to Sacramento in January to talk about that. But I want to give a quick shout out to Long Beach Police Chief Jim McDonnell and his officers here in Long Beach for being so aggressive on this issue in partnering with us. Also, Chief Jerry Powers of our probation department, his commitment to the issue, and my 2 heroes, Michelle Guyman and Hanya Cardenas, who are here from our probation, who originally brought the issue to my attention, our partners at Saving Innocence, who are also here today, and especially Jessica. It took a big job for her to come up here and lead you in the pledge, for having the courage to go on and tell her story. So I want you to give them a big round of applause. Ask them all to stand wherever you may be. And of course, every year I'm proud to update you on the Safe Surrender program. To date, we have saved 112 lives. This year, that's okay, go ahead and pause. This year, we launched a new outreach campaign. We hadn't updated the materials in several years, excuse me. We also wanted to expand our outreach across communities, so we added multiple languages. We're collaborating with community-based organizations, religious organizations, and relying on a mix of traditional and grassroots efforts. The campaign includes billboards, posters, bumper stickers, brochures, and a redesigned website to remind women in very desperate situations that there is a better choice. No shame, no blame, no name. So there's my bucket list: infrastructure, public-private partnerships, and safety net services. Not quite the same as Jack's, but I'm as equally excited about the possibilities that lie ahead for me in the next few years. So as you can see, we have a lot to accomplish over the next few years. We've accomplished a lot in the past, working with all of you. So each year, as you know, we have a tradition of supporting local nonprofits through this event. And because of your generosity and the Chamber's generosity, this year, once again, we're doing that. We are supporting U.S. Vets and the Ronald McDonald House. Go ahead, yes. U.S. Vets is the nation's largest nonprofit provider of service to veterans facing challenges in the transition back to civilian life. And just a side note, we have the largest homeless veterans population in the nation in our county, uncalled for. U.S. Vets helps these folks by providing them housing, counseling, career development, and other support to help veterans and their families get back on their feet. So I'd like to recognize Jim Hanson, the Executive Director of U.S. Vets, have him stand. Jim, I know you're here. I gave him the check before the speech, so I thought he might have left. And the Ronald McDonald House, which provides low-cost temporary housing for families of very seriously ill children who are receiving treatment at Millard Children's Hospital and other local medical facilities. So I'd like to ask Sherry Baisley from Ronald McDonald House to please stand. Sherry, I know you're here. But before I close, I want to end with a very special surprise. Due to your generosity, and again, most importantly, the Long Beach Chambers, you are supporting a very critical part of my bucket list. And so today we're announcing they're adding an additional $40,000 to the $10,000 they normally give for local nonprofits. They have generously offered to help seed scholarships for safe surrender children and for the victims of child sex trafficking. $40,000. So thank you, Chamber. The children who need us most, the most vulnerable, will be given a chance to focus on the dreams that all of us in this room have been able to focus on. And they deserve thanks. And thank you to the Chamber for their very generous support and for all of you for being here today. So that's what I'm focused on. Not a whole lot going on in my life. But let me be clear about what you can expect from me and the county over the next 3 years. What you won't see is bickering, filibustering, refusing to talk to each other, stonewalling by reading green eggs and ham at our meetings. We don't have the time. But what you will see is safe sidewalks, refurbished libraries, new community centers, health clinics, and we're going to accomplish it through public-private partnerships and innovative financing. And I believe that we can have different ideology and still work together. Government can do good. That doesn't mean we need to be big and bloated, but it does mean spending your money wisely, focusing on sound long-term investments and planning, and most importantly, making lives better through the services that we provide from that invisible government. I love this job and humbled to work alongside the nearly 100,000 employees of this great county, providing us services that make a huge difference and have a huge effect to all of you, but most importantly to them as well. Sometimes we are invisible, and frankly, that's okay with me. That means that we are doing our job right. And in the end, we will remain focused on our most important job, helping the most vulnerable in our communities, the people who without us would have no voice. I want them to have a chance to live their dreams too. Because, as the great John Wooden once said, you can't live a perfect day without doing something for someone who will never be able to repay you. So from my family to all of you, however you celebrate the holidays, may you enjoy a beautiful season of blessings, a prosperous and healthy new year. May God bless you, God bless our troops, and may God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you.